I will show you what are the most used tools in InDesign. Then I will also show you what are the panels that you have to pay attention to and how you can use the tools to create a cool design. When you start the InDesign software, you have these two options, the new file and the open option. Obviously, the new file involves you starting to work on a new document. The open option involves opening a recent project and making changes on it. We are going to click on the new file right here, and in the preset details, that's where we are going to give directions to InDesign in terms of letting it know what exactly we want to create. So for the preset details, I will first give it a name, and I'll say poster project, because that's what I want to work on. For units, I will change picas into inches. Then the width of my project is going to be 8.5 inches. The height is going to be 11. This is actually something very important, and it depends on what you're working on. Pay attention to these boxes right here, because that's how you determine what's the format or the size of your project. We are only going to have one page right now, but anytime you need more than one, you would have to insert that number in here. We are not going to do anything with the facing pages since we're working on just one page. For the columns, we will just insert 2 columns right here. You can work in as many columns as you'd prefer. The column gutter indicates that that's going to be the amount of space between your columns, which is also very important because that adds negative space. It adds white space that allows the reader to rest their eyes. Now let's scroll down. We are going to have the margin section right here. For this project, you're going to have the margin to 0.5 inches, and make sure you link that to all top, bottom, outside, and inside margins. We're not going to touch the bleed or the slug at the moment. That's for a more advanced video. I'm going to hit the create button right here. And InDesign is going to give me exactly what I asked it to do. So it created a 8.5 width page by 11 in height. It gave me 2 pages, it gave me 2 columns, and it gave me the margins, 0.5 inches margins from top, bottom, inside, and outside. Now, before we begin with the tools, by the way, the tools panel is the one right here on the left. But before we begin with covering the most dominant tools, I wanted to show you what are the panels that you always have to have in your screen. So first, before we move on, I would strongly encourage you that you go to the window option right here on top, and you make sure that you have the things that I have selected on my screen selected as well. So make sure you have the control panel right here, properties, tools, and application frame. These are the 4 panels that I always have access to on my screen because I need them all the time. Now, if any one of them is missing, let's say my control panel is missing, which probably by default, that's what your InDesign screen looks like. So go to window and scroll down, find the control option right there, click on it, and let it pop up on your screen. Again, these on the left are the tools. Is the tools panel. The one on top is called the control panel. The control panel means that anytime you click on a different tool, the control panel changes or adjusts based on whichever tool you're clicked on. It gives you additional functions for the tool. The properties panel on the right, it's mostly like a reflection of the control panel, except it has just specific details that relates again to whichever tool you're clicked on. And then the application frame right here, I call it the working table. It's the panel that holds your document, the panel that allows you to work on your document. So now we're ready to begin with the tools. The very first tool in InDesign is called the selection tool. At the moment, because I don't have any frames or any objects on my document, there's nothing for me to select. You see, I can try to drag it, but nothing works out. So in order for me to be able to use this tool, let me click on my type tool, click on it, click drag and create a box. And then I'm going to type inside poster project. I will select it in large. I will select the font with Command A, and then I can change the font size. The control panel right here on top allows me to do that, and the properties panel allows me to do that too. So I'm going to click right here and I can change it manually like that, or a key combination would be your left hand, hold it on Command Shift or Control Shift, and your right hand, hold it on the period button. Okay, the period key. So there it is. I'm gonna make it fit from width for the entire width of the project. Now I will come back with another video that allows you to work with font specifically related font boxes, and I will explain more details there. But for now, I wanted to show you what the type tool does, and then the selection tool. Look, when I clicked on it and I selected the frame of this object, it gave me some anchor point. So now I can manipulate it. If I want to do it bigger, smaller, I can manipulate the box however I would prefer. Now I'm gonna do Command Z to take me back to what I had, because I only wanted to show you how the tool works. The next tool that I want to pay attention to is the line tool. The line tool allows you to draw lines. So click on the tool, and if you want to draw a straight line, hold your finger on the shift key, draw it from left to right, then you can let go, and you can decide on the size of the tool, on the size of that frame or whatever you've designed. I'm going to click a 8 point within my control panel. I can change the color of my stroke or of the line that I have by going to the control panel right here. You have in the middle the fill option and then the stroke option. Now, if I want to make changes to this object, I will click on my selection tool, click on it. You see, I can make whatever changes I want to. I can move it, change the placement of it on the page. I don't need to make anything of that right now, so I'm just gonna bring it back. Now, that's your line tool right there. After the line tool, I want to show you the rectangle frame tool. So the rectangle frame tool allows you to insert visuals or to place visuals. To use that tool, you have to click, drag, let go, and create a big box. Then you're going to place that picture or that object in that box. So you're going to do File, scroll down to Place, find the picture, hit open, and let the picture be placed inside that frame. Now, most times the picture doesn't have the same size as the frame that you've inserted. So to fix this, you're going to do Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally, and you see how the picture inserts itself in there. Now, if I want to make changes on the size or the frame of my picture, I go back to click on my selection tool. I drag down this box. I can make it smaller, wider, narrower, whatever I would prefer. Okay, now there's another tool under your selection tool that's called the direct selection tool. The direct selection tool allows you to select what's inside the frame, not the frame itself, but the object inside. So look, I can manipulate the picture. You see, I can drag it up and down, but I'm not able to change the frame of the picture. If I want to change the frame, look, I'm going to click on my selection tool. Now click on the frame, as you can see. So now I can change the frame with the picture itself. I hope that makes sense. Now, another option that you have here under the rectangle frame tool, you got to click on the right key, on your right click, and use the ellipse frame tool. So here, most times if you want to insert a mug or a mug shot, you're going to click, drag, and then you're going to do File, scroll down to Place, find your mug. Here it is, here's mine. Hit open, and then have it placed inside. Now I'm going to click on the direct selection tool. I just showed it to you a second ago, and I will drag it in to bring my picture inside and arrange it, make it fit inside that box. Okay, cool. Now let's go on and let's use the rectangle tool. The rectangle tool allows you to draw a shape, a rectangle right now, and then you can fill it with color. Your control key right there, control panel on top. Under the fill option, you can fill that rectangle with color, and then under the stroke option, you can also add a stroke to that rectangle. You can change the width of your stroke depending on whatever you want to use. Now, what's a cool feature about this is that anytime that you want to adjust the color fill, there's this 100% opacity option right there. So you can drag that arrow and you see what's happening. I can change the opacity, and I'm basically creating a complete new color right there on my page. That's a cool thing for you to remember, by the way. Another tool I want to show you, it's called the gradient tool, the gradient swatch. So look, if you want to use a combination of colors, specifically if you want to use two colors on a certain shape, let's draw the shape first. I'm going to click on the rectangle tool, draw the shape, then I'll click on the gradient tool, click, drag, let go, and okay, let me click on the fill option right here. So click, drag, let go. You see by default, InDesign gives you a white and black type of a gradients. If you want to create a new gradients color, you see in my fill option that was applied, do a right click and say add to swatches. After you add it to swatches, open that arrow and you see it becomes the last color within your color swatches. Double click inside that color and this box is gonna pop up. So here you can actually manipulate and create or use whichever color you would prefer. You hit OK and you see your gradient color has become different. Now the gradient feather tool is also a cool feature to remember, but basically if you click on the gradient feather tool and you draw a line, you apply a feather. You have to click on the shape that you need to apply that effect on. You apply a feather effect, you see, on that object. And finally, the eyedropper tool. The eyedropper tool allows you to sample a color, and then when you click on it, you see it becomes a created color within your swatches. To save this color and have InDesign memorize it, just do right click and say add to swatches. If I want to use another color, let me do a darker green. Let me empty it first, empty the eyedropper, then go do a dark green. You see it's right there. Right click, add to swatches. When I click on my swatch panel, you see I have my gradient color that I've just created. I have this yellowish and then I have the dark green that I used. So this is it about the tools. That's basically all of them that you would need to use for this project. I will come back with another video that shows you how to create more color swatches and how to work with your text palettes.